The way children are raised and their attitude towards themselves and the world is very important. Now, what child psychologists have learned over the years is that children who freely play out amongst other children, making up their own games and making up their own rules, learning how to negotiate and socialize with others, free from the supervision of parents, grow up believing predominantly that the power for them to change their lives and to change the world lies within them. They're the more powerful agent, as it were. Where the children who, what they call helicopter parents, where they go from school to home to classes to organized sport. And so the world is basically controlled by external agents, a controlling power. And these children tend to grow up thinking that power is outside of them. And they feel that they have no control over their life or have the ability to make effect, to make a better world. And this inherently means that some children who feel that they have the power within them become successful, and those who feel that their power is always outside of themselves feel victims of the world. And one of the ways I try to address this in my talks in relation to conservation is one of the ways that people express that helplessness which they have inherited inside themselves is to also bring up the overpopulation issue when I talk about conservation. In other words, look, give up because there's nothing you can do about it, it's all doomed. The power is outside from us and the ability to control our future. And of course, I always address this in many of my talks, at least because the actual population myth that we're going to overpopulate and destroy the planet is actually a myth. And the reality is population is becoming more and more under control, and it's going to become an increasingly less issue in future generations. And so this basically then puts the onus back on us to say, okay, what are we going to do as individuals, and how are we going to make a meaningful change in the world for future generations? Interesting enough, I was doing a talk yesterday, and when I explained this, the new paradigm came up as China's rising, communist China don't care about the environment or wildlife, and therefore the world's going to be destroyed anyway. So it's almost clinging on to another paradigm to put the power outside of ourselves. And of course, this is not true. We can manage these things, and we will manage these things. And more importantly, our happiness depends on it. When we see ourselves as victims, we feel unhappy. And when we're unhappy, we hurt others, doesn't make sense? All victims end up being monsters as they try to react against this feeling of lack and helplessness within themselves. So for our own sakes, and for the sake of the world, we need to understand that the power to change our lives and the power to change the world lies within us. And therefore, together, as collectives, as human beings that have been most successful over the years, we can make a meaningful change to save our planet, wildlife, and of course our beloved orangutans.